Howdy, howdy. How you guys doing? Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on live. I got a strike, and I just didn't post as much on YouTube. Seemed like they weren't pushing my content either, so I was just staying off for the time being. I'll try to get back on again eventually. So how's everybody doing? I don't know if you guys see this. I'm a little earlier than usual, but the kids are all sleeping, so it's quiet. Okay, the chat. That's one thing you can't chat. You can't write in the chat on here. Hey.
I think you can.
Hey, Mickey. Mickey Twister.
It's just Mickey Twister. Did you turn the hotspot on?
Yes, I think I did. Did I? Did I not? Oh, I didn't. Sorry. Okay, there you go. All right. So how's things going? We are. Can you pass me a mug, please, for my coffee?
I'm just spitting your mug then.
Oh, yeah, it's been nice here. We've had really nice weather. No snow, no frost, almost no frost. I mean, it's been kind of rainy and muddy. Kind of unusual for December for this area. We had usually about 2 or 3 foot of snow on the ground. So I've been busy on the sawmill. Over Christmas and New Year's, the weather is good too. And so what happened is the county stopped in
the week before Thanksgiving.
The week before Thanksgiving, gave me a stop work notice on the house and said if I work on it, they'll arrest me. Hey, Brett. And so I had quit working on the house, and then I got a strike for posting a picture of my foot. So I wasn't allowed on YouTube. So what they did, I don't really know what they're planning, but I decided to sell out. So we have the place for sale, and we're going to go somewhere else. I think yeah, it's kind of strange. We don't take welfare. We don't take handouts from the government. We aren't on WIC or any kind of support. And yet they're complaining about our house. I mean, and think of it this way. If I had to build that house with bought lumber, I could work out for 2 years and not have the money to build the house. But yet I built this house, and right now my costs are about $6,000. Now, people had given us some gifts after our house burned, and I used some of that money for, building the house. My brother loaned me some money for buy logs. And so built it with our own lumber, mostly. And so the total price of the house is coming to around $6,000. Now, I could have done that if I bought lumber. So the rule is 1961 rule that all interior framing of the house has to be state inspected and stamped kiln dried lumber. Well, in Michigan, I'm not sure other states, but I built a pole style house. It's not built with studs. It's built with poles and beams. And then it has kind of like a pole barn side, cross 2x6s on the side, and then one by pine siding on top of it. But it wouldn't pass code, so it doesn't pass their codes. Now, according to what I see, the Amish have statewide exemption to that, so they don't bother the Amish about it. So we had two different Amish guys offered on the place. We're still in the process of haven't decided which offer to take. I think the one wanted to do down payment and payments. The other one was just trying to up the other one on top of the other one, but he didn't. It seems like he couldn't make his mind up. He wanted to always know what the other one's doing, and then he wanted to know if he wanted to put a little bit on top of the price. So I decided, well, we'll probably go with the one that will do the payment. But before I do that, I want to go try to find a place to buy before we move. So I'm going to go and look for land. Go land hunting. And I want to go somewhere where taxes are low and we're not so close to a city or a town, I should say.
Or a road to farm.
Or still close to a main road. where we can live more the way we want to live without being neighbors calling on us for this or that, for burning or for our animals or whatever. So I'm going to look for somewhere that's more isolated and hopefully. I wonder if you'd be staying in Michigan despite the beyond the crumbling U.S. government union. Locals could really use people with your mindset here in Michigan. We plenty already, but no, one more strong man is cool. Yeah, it'd be nice if they did, but the problem is a lot of people out here don't want me to move. And some of them did offer to maybe help take it to court. But I said, you know what? The way this system's going, I have to work to save money to pay my taxes because I don't work out much. I work out a little bit, but not much. It's hard to pay taxes. Taxes are so high, they keep going up.
Okay, almost $1,700 a year.
Every time we build something, our taxes go up. So I was thinking, I want to go somewhere where I can basically live, grow my own food, raise my animals, and I don't have to worry about being in this constant race of trying to make enough cash to afford to pay my taxes. And I'm free where I can be free. So I'm looking around, not looking in the U.S. We'll say it that way. I'm looking south. I lived in Belize for 10 years, and I made a good living down there. I milked 5 cows and made a living on 5 cows. Or I could grow seeds or produce or fruit trees, train horses or shoe horses. I did good. Up here, it's not the same. I've had stuff for sale for months, and nobody comes and buys anything. So it's like if people would come and buy stuff, it'd be helpful, but most people don't. And so I decided, you know what? We're going to go somewhere we can live out of the system completely. That's the goal. And so most likely, my handle's going to have to change from Off-Grid North Country Farm to Off-Grid Farm or Off-Grid Ranch. We'll see, depending on where we end up.
How about white Indian?
Good luck if you go down South America, friend. I'm looking at South America, yes. I'm looking at particularly one country. I don't want to say too much till next week. When I get down there, I'll post videos, hopefully. At least I'll try. I won't have internet, but I'll probably try to post them somewhere. I'm going particularly one country where I'm finding low taxes, no government intervention almost, and where it's extremely remote. Taxes run about $40 to $100 a year on a $100,000 place. So if you get a $100,000 place, your tax will be between $40 and $100 a year. And they don't tax on your improvements. So, and it looks like your local economy is more of an agriculture-based economy. Small farmers. It might be a poor area, but that's not what I'm worried about. I'm more. I want to be able to live without being stuck in the system. And the way America's going with the digital currency and the regulations, and now you can't even misgender somebody without it becoming you can get charged for misgendering somebody. You can get charged for hate speech. It's like, you know what? This is not what I want to live. So we'll move out. And hopefully we can start a community of people who want to live independent and self-sufficient, and then we'll have a group of people who can work together. That's the goal. I mean, up here, I can't seem to get anybody to move up here. I've been trying. Can't find nobody who wants to. Paying taxes to Washington, D.C. is the lowest chumps anyway. That's why I don't. I haven't for ages. If we don't pay, we'll lose our land. And that's the biggest problem I see. Because yeah, it's kind of hard because I like this place. I worked hard and I have a nice farm here. Pretty much self-sufficient. We have most of our own food. We got animals, nice buildings. But I don't see a future for the children either, because it's like they won't be able to afford land. We can't. If I don't start making lots of money, I won't be able to afford land to buy land for them. the way the economy is, it's a cash debt-based system where everybody seems to be running in debt, or the prices just keep raising because of inflation, which I think is going to be anywhere to an extent. But if we have an economy that's based on land-based economy, where people are producing, small farmers are producing little bits of produce or animals, it's a lot easier to survive that way. Like, I don't like Belize for the heat, so I'm looking for higher altitude land that's cooler, not so hot. That's the goal. Somewhere in the Andes Mountains. Say it that way. I'll be going down next week. Maybe grab a mountainside for cool area. That's what my plan is. I want to get up to like close to 2,000 feet or 2,000 meters. The land I'm looking at now, a lot of it's in between 1,700 and 1,800 meters above sea level, which is pretty good. You can grow coffee. You can still grow most of the cool weather crops. And if you go any higher, if you go over 3,000, you can't grow a lot of the hot weather stuff. But the mountains behind it are over 3,000. But then in the valleys, it gets down. I think it's around 1,300 in the valleys. But anyhow, it's still higher up, so it's going to be a cooler elevation. It's going to be cooler temperatures. But year-round growing season. And there's 3 different climates. There's a dry climate, there's a high alpine climate, and there's a tropical. Well, then we said it's basically 4. There's high tropical, and there's the wet lowland tropical. And I'm probably going to go for the highland tropical. So that way I can grow coffee, I can grow, chocolate and bananas, but still be able to grow potatoes and corn, cabbage without problems. Less bugs too. I'll be leaving in a week, so I'll be down there. Hopefully, I'll be able to look at the places. Got the different places I want to look at, and then we'll probably once I find a place, we'll sell this one and then move. So it'll be a whole new. What do we say? A whole new adventure for me. I mean, I've been in the South before. I've been through there. I lived in Bolivia for 2 months. I was in the lowlands in Bolivia. Belize for 10 years.
So you're experienced.
I speak Spanish reasonably well, so for me, it's not a big problem. The only thing is, they say that the Indians don't speak good Spanish, so I may have to learn Indian language. Yeah, we'll still try to do videos. I think I'm going to try to maintain the same lifestyle, so hopefully we'll stay with off-grid with horse and buggy, and, my hope is to find a place that has a stream on it so I can build a water wheel and then use water power for what I need. That's my goal. So I'm particularly looking at places with streams. If I can find one that's got enough of a drop, I can just divert the stream over the water wheel, and we can power generator or maybe a sawmill. That should be my ideal situation. There's a lot of streams coming off those mountains. Nice water streams. So that's the plan. We'll hopefully within a few weeks we'll know a little better what we're going to do. And if I decide against it, we'll be looking somewhere else. I was looking at Russia. They got cheap land in Russia, but too many regulations. Same problems here. It's like you have to ask you have to get permission to build. You have to pay higher taxes. Stuff's regulated. I don't like that. Yeah, those mountain streams there, the water's pretty clean. They're coming off the mountains and it's pretty clean. And because of the hills, they're flowing pretty fast too. they're not stagnant, we should say. Not stagnant streams. They're moving pretty fast. So I stay pretty clean. If a stream like that, it doesn't have to be that big even. You can run a pretty good water wheel on a stream if the flow is constant. And there's springs. They say there's springs in those areas that are feeding those streams. So but we'll see. I'm still a little confused about the one place I was looking at. I like the place, but it looks like it's inside the national park, which makes me wonder how that's going to work if you're inside a national park. But all around it's just national forest. There's no basically no neighbors behind you or around you because it's all surrounded by national forest or national park, national jungle. 583 hectares, 1,000 hectares of land in national forest. That's a lot of national forest, but mostly just trees and mountains.
And capybara?
What's that?
And capybara?
Capybara? I don't know. Hard to say, I suppose. Didn't actually look at capybara.
Oh, capybara, not jaguars.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If there's regulations in a national park, then it's wouldn't be very ideal. But I'm not sure if the land itself is part of the national park. It's just surrounded by it, I believe. So we'll have to see if that's. I don't want a bunch of regulations. It looks to me like they got about 80 acres of cleared land already that's in grass. So 80 acres of grass, there's about 80 acres of trees. So it's about 160 acres altogether. Got a stream, one small building, barn. There's a lot of lumber trees, but it's pretty, some of the land's very steep. It's hilly or mountainous. So there's I don't know how much flat land there actually is. Not a whole lot of flat land, but to grow your food, you only need about 1 acre, 2 acres of flat land to grow enough food to survive. And trees can grow on slightly inclined. There's one thing, won't be no big farmers trying to buy up land around you because there's no farmland.
You'll have to put up little fences so all your fruit doesn't keep rolling downhill when it falls off the trees.
Oh, well. Yeah, so once by sometime a little over a week, I'll be able to be posting stuff. You guys can see how it looks. Yeah, I kind of want to be somewhere that if the digital system comes in or society collapses, that I won't be as affected by it. And I think the way I look at it, it looks like to me there's some places. Yeah, I like the far north too. Yeah, that's that. I was looking at Alaska, but the problem is Alaska. You almost pay more for land in Alaska than you do here in Michigan. And the cost of living there is extremely high, and even taxes are high, which it doesn't make any sense. I don't see why is land 60 miles from the nearest road as high as it is in Michigan, in Alaska. I mean, I looked at a lot of places in Alaska, and I couldn't find anything that was cheaper land that was, how would you say it? Anything by a river was extremely high. Seemed like now some of the land that they had cheaper was swampy, or it had maybe permafrost, black spruce, which is usually a sign of permafrost. There just wasn't a lot of available small farmland for some reason. DCX stores anyone willing to pay them. That's the reason. Yeah, I think that's what it is. They've got the land so high priced, most people can't afford it, and it makes it hard to survive when you have to pay high taxes. But my main bother is this whole system where people complain about the way we live, saying that we shouldn't raise our kids the way we do. Saying we got to put them in school, and they shouldn't be barefoot, and they shouldn't be working. It's like, people don't understand. I don't want my kids in the system. I want my kids to be free. I want them to grow up. Yeah, I want them to grow up learning how to read and write, but they don't need to learn to read and write in school. I was homeschooled, and I can read and write just fine. My wife was homeschooled, I don't see any reason why a child has to go to school for 8 hours a day or 7, 8 hours a day to learn to read and write. They can be taught at home if the parents want to do that, and they can learn to read and write, and then they can also learn to do other things besides sitting reading books. I'm not against reading books. I just think it's completely unnecessary. People focus on that so much. They act like a kid can't be a good kid if they didn't go to school. Well, I didn't go to school, and I feel like that's probably why I am what I am. Because I was raised different, and I have a different way of looking at things. No, in the U.S., this whole digital currency thing, it's coming. I mean, I'm the next probably couple of years, I think we're going to see a switch from cash to digital, and I don't want to take part in that. So my only option is to go somewhere where it's probably not ever going to work. And if there's ever a big disaster, I feel like the North country up here is better than the South, I think, in a lot of ways. But the danger I see is most people aren't prepared. They don't have food sources. They don't have a way to stay hot, keep their houses heated. You know, if right now our electric went out up here, most people would either starve or freeze because they couldn't stay warm, and they couldn't cook their food. They don't have a stove. A lot of people have stoves, but the majority of them are outside, and they're attached to an electric system.
That pumps the air in.
And they push the air in through pipes. But if you think about that, if the power goes out, those people are going to have to use a generator. If they don't have gas, they won't be able to run their generator. And the next thing you know, they'll be freezing. And a lot of people say, well, they don't have a stove because insurance don't let them have it. Well, if they need a backup source, and I think most people should think about that. You know, get a wood stove. Make sure you got either a flow of water, or you got a way to pump water if you can't pump it by electric. Without that, if their power goes out, they won't have no water, and then they'll have no heat. And the average person up here is like 90% of the people they say are in debt right now to either the banks or the government. And a lot of people up here work for the government. They work for the state, or they work for the county, or they work for the federal government. And a lot of people are on welfare.
A lot of people are out of shape.
Yeah, my wife said a lot of people are out of shape. They are. Probably 3/4 of the people are overweight.
Watch them try and haul water and haul wood in for a week. They wouldn't make it.
Well, just try to have them walk a couple miles. They'd be sore. No, I'm sad for people, but it's like these people, if something happens, it's going to be serious. They're not going to be able to survive. Or they'll come looking for food, and that means they'll come to my place. Not that I don't want to help people, but there's only so much you can do when you've got a limited amount of food. You can't just, it'd be pretty hard to feed everybody that come by looking for food. I mean, I've only got I think one neighbor that I know that it's a prepper. The rest of them aren't. I tell you, people don't think about it, but I think it will come eventually. I'm lucky to have no debt because apparently there's entire nations where everyone has crippling debt. Yes, it's good to be out of debt. But the problem is I see with this, even though we're out of debt. But the problem is when you don't pay your taxes on your land, they'll take your land away, and that's an issue to me. If you don't play in the system, they'll say, "Oh, you didn't pay your taxes." So, and personally, I don't support what the U.S. is doing. I don't think what they're doing is right. Supporting Ukraine or Israel, all that stuff is, to me, it shouldn't be being done. And you know, as a taxpayer, I don't support the programs they're doing. So it's like, if I don't, I shouldn't pay for those kind of things I don't support. But the problem is, if we don't pay, we lose our land. So we're in kind of a problem. If enough people got together and said, "Hey, we're not going to pay it," then what could they do? But most people won't. Well, most people can't. They're in debt. Yeah, I know they are. And that in the Bible prophecy I feel, according to Bible prophecy, that eventually America will collapse. It's just a matter of time because of the way the system's set up. It's bound for collapse. The just on demand delivery system, the way the debt economy, it's based off all the businesses run on computers and electric and diesel and gas, and if that stops, then everything stops. And it's like you cannot maintain this kind of lifestyle in troubled times. So whether or not it's an earthquake or just simply a natural disaster or an attack, if the system goes down, the people will be out of, how do you say it? They'll be unable to get what they need, which most people aren't prepared for. And in this area especially, I don't find many people like we are. The Amish are probably closer, but even a lot of the Amish, they owe money on their land. They're in debt to the banks. They're buying a lot of their food from the stores, and it's just hard. It's really hard to see that most people do not see the danger of this system. I mean, it's nice while it goes, but when it goes down, it's going to go down hard. And it's happened all through history. People get lazy and dependent, and they get weak, and then everything comes collapsing down and resets. I mean, I think it's going to happen eventually, but
there's no one to reset it here.
What's that?
There's no one to reset it here.
Well, if the Amish don't get killed off, they probably could. But problem is, people who have food get targeted by people who don't have food, and you know how it is. Most people are armed pretty heavy, so if you can't keep off robbers, then you're in trouble. I've got a 22. I'm not sure how good one man could keep away a hungry army of people trying to get their food. With the community, I feel better in the community because you'd have other people to help you. You'd have other people to support, trade, barter back and forth, to help each other.
To do the night watch.
But when you're by yourself, one man, it's a tricky thing. You got nobody to rely on. You can't rely on your neighbors. You don't know them. Yeah, with a 22, yeah, you if you hit them somewhere else, you wouldn't be doing too well stopping them, I don't think. Yeah, I said if there's as many guns as most people have up here, that if something happened, you would see a lot of people getting in trouble with each other. I mean, I'm not anti-gun. I just feel like it's just the way it is. It's like people don't know each other. They aren't unified, and that for that very reason.
And America's based on a me, myself attitude anyway.
Well, yeah. For that very reason, it'd be dangerous. If people are more poor and they rely on the land and they don't have all the amenities, those kind of people in hard times will do better because they're already mostly self-sufficient and they don't rely on the system. So if you move into a poor area, I mean, sure, you're not going to make a lot of money, but it's going to be a whole different lifestyle, which in hard times is actually easier to survive in that way. People who get too rich, when everything comes crashing down, their riches are gone. It's kind of a sad state of affairs, but I look at when you fly over the cities and you look down these cities, you see these huge cities, and you think, my, these people. Yeah, I think that's true. Most people would rather die, and they have this attitude too that if I can't live this way, I'd just rather die. They don't.
I have some of that.
Yeah, my wife says she's a little bit like that. It seems like people. I've talked to people and said, hey, just okay. If you take it in the way of a person, the way people are today, the food they're eating, they go to the store, they buy processed food, junk food, sweets, they buy all these things from the store. If you took that away from them and told them, hey, eat rice and beans or eat potatoes or, eat this meat I got here, the average person would have a hard time eating that diet just because they're not used to it.
Plus, they'll be sugar detoxing.
Yeah, they'll probably go into shock because they're missing their sugar. And then a lot of people are on drugs. They're on certain kinds of drugs that if they couldn't get, they would die or they get sick. A lot of their money's based in stocks, bonds, inflated assets. They don't have true value when it comes to land, food source, maybe water. It's really sort of sad to see in the last 100 years how America went from a farm-based, family farm-based economy, communities, to a dependent, secular humanist. And then see, most people push democracy, and I have an issue with that because if you think about it, democracy can be extremely dangerous. Because if the majority tells you, we don't want guns, we don't want you to do this, you have to comply. Now, in a republic, like we should have, each man has the right to live as the Constitution and the God-given rights of freedom guarantees. But they keep saying a democracy, democracy, democracy. Well, in that idea, it's for the good of the whole. So if the whole says, oh, we don't like your lifestyle, we don't like how you believe, you become an enemy of the state. So if 80% of the people say, oh, we don't want you having guns, or we don't want you talking against this or not saying that, you become an enemy of the state by disagreeing, which is America is moving that direction. Always more and more, I feel like it's a socialistic, secular humanist attitude where it kind of takes into play was that God's law doesn't matter. It's what I think or what I want. And the main issue most people are after is money. And money today is worthless. It's nothing. The paper money is absolutely nothing. You look at the system we have, inflation, in my opinion, is a secret tax. So every time the dollar devaluates, they're taking our buying power away. So in the last 2 years, our prices doubled, which means they took away half our buying power. Now our wages didn't double, but our prices did. So now I get $25 an hour, and I did get 20. So I got $5. I'm getting $5 an hour more than I used to. But now when I go to buy something, the price is double, or possibly more sometimes. So really, what basically has happened, they've taken away the buying power. Land prices are so highly inflated, most people couldn't afford them, and people are stuck in this system of debt, where they're borrowing, they're buying, they're borrowing, and they stay stuck in the consumer system, where everybody's working in this system of bondage. They're slaves to it. They can't get out of it, or they don't want to get out of it. But the thing is, I don't want to be part of that system. And I would hope other people would think about it, that our ancestors, when they came to America and they fought the British for freedom, or against taxation, I think Mark is pretty cool in ground art, music, literature, way of life. Well, see, to me, a good emperor, a good monarch, is better than a democratic system. Now, he needs to have checks and balances. But what happens with the democratic system we have today is that if the majority of people are corrupt, the system just gets worse. And then the people who don't agree with the system, they end up being either marginalized or made enemies of the state. And so basically, if the majority of society decides they want something, you lose your right. Where in a monarchy, if the king's good, he protects the rights of his people. Yes, I'd say the monarchy is a more effective system because today we have a system that's completely corrupted, pretty much the whole thing. Both sides are corrupt. And it's like lobbyists are running, like if you look at you can't sell stuff, you can't sell milk, you can't sell cheese, you can't sell meat. You got to have permits and licenses and inspections. And basically what they've done, they've made it so that a small farmer can barely make a living. And I can't go and I can't sell my products to a store without barcode, without inspection, tags. And I can't even sell an animal in the auction without having it tagged. It's got the point where everything's so controlled, and they want to even control it more with our money by going digital. And that system to me is extremely dangerous because look what happens in China. When you disagree with the Chinese man disagrees with the government, they shut his bank account down. He can't buy anything. And America's heading the same way. Right now, they've got, I'd say the worst countries right now that have already gone into the system are Sweden, it's probably the worst, and Israel, in Ukraine.
What about Venezuela or New Zealand?
New Zealand's probably headed that direction, but now in some of the southern countries, the way the people live, they still live as subsistence farmers. Those kind of people most of them don't have computers, and they don't have they don't make much money, and so for them, sometimes they kidnap the dissenting Chinese men and butcher them for their organs, transplant to the leaders and such. It's possible, but the way the Chinese operate, you cannot disagree with the state, or you become an enemy of the state. And America is moving the same direction. I mean, just was it last month they passed a law on hate speech, so they can prosecute you for hate speech. And if you look at even like the Patriot Act, they can detain you on suspicions of terrorism and hold you for indefinitely, basically, without a cause, if they say you're a terrorist. So basically, a person who disagrees with the state becomes a terrorist. They can say, oh yeah, he's a terrorist, so got to hold him. They can hold you without a fair trial and without a quick trial. And that's disheartening, you know. I mean, anybody who wants to be free and have their children be free either needs to realize the system needs to change or need to get out of it.
There's even a guy locked up with an ankle bracelet in a national park right now. I don't think he's an enemy of the state, but I think he's an enemy of his ex-wife.
Or the sheriff's department. I think he made a report against him. That's what happened. Yeah, my wife's talking about a story of a guy down in Oklahoma. He made a report against the police department, and they
got pissed.
Then you're gulag for life, and then America after 50 years of Cold War with the Soviet Union. Yeah, I think they'll probably reinstate the gulags eventually in America, because the way it's going, they're basically they're moving towards a socialist communist type system, and people seem to be as long as people have their food and their movies and distractions, they don't seem to notice it. They think they're okay, but yet all it would take is a big EMP strike or a grid down scenario or the computers going down, or it would take a very little bit to disrupt the whole system. And then what they'll do, they'll say for the common good, they can legally take your food, distribute it, and you got to work through the channels of the government for basically you lose your right to maintain private property. People don't realize that the Patriot Act gave the government the right to do that. And I think the Patriot Act was probably one of the worst laws ever passed, besides the fact that it took us off the gold standard and put us on, well, it would have been before that, it would have been the corporation, the United States corporation being made, taking our land rights away, then putting us on taking us off the gold standard was another step in that direction. But the digital currency system that's coming is probably one of the bigger, we would say, like the last steps to a total tyrannical society. So a lot of people think that if they have the computers, they can regulate better than communist Russia did, or they say that it would be easier to keep the food supply moving or control what's going on. Yeah, Spade just messaged me. State-owned community farms pretty soon in the U.S. like Soviets too at this rate. Yeah, I think it will be, because you see Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the big rich guys are buying up farmland. They're buying up more farmland than at any time, and they say Bill Gates is the biggest landowner in the United States. Why are they doing that? I think they're doing it because they know in the future. Well, one thing, it outprices the people from buying land themselves, and secondly, it makes it so that the rich men control the land, and they think about it. The banks themselves control most of the land anyhow, and then besides that, the corporation controls it. So who owns the corporation? I was saying the other day, who actually owns the corporation? So every area is incorporated. The federal government's incorporated. So who owns the corporation? The government owes the banks $33 trillion. So who owns the government? Gates is inventing ways to vax people through produce as well. The vegetable, grains, fruits, cider, meat. Yeah, they're trying to do that nanotechnology, which I think is that whole thing, the whole way of that system is just wrong, because when God made the earth, he made it good. And I think if we stay eating the foods God intended we eat, natural, we'll stay healthier. If we eat their junk food and their processed foods and their chemicals foods, it's going to cause us to have, problems. And then they turn to medicine, trying to change it or mitigate it. Or this new technology, this we would call the RNA technology, where they use they're using the RNA to tell the DNA what to do, which is extremely dangerous because we don't know what that's going to bring out in the future. When you start playing with the RNA, you're playing with something you shouldn't play with. The genetic modification is another thing that's extremely dangerous, I think, because we don't know in the future what that will bring. Vax produce and principle of that for you and your family is very close window to hell. I think one of the closest I've ever seen on earth. Vax produce and the principle for what you and your family is a very close window to hell. Vax produce, the principle that for you and your family is no, I think the way it's going now is the worst system we've probably ever seen. Yeah, on Earth. It's basically making people completely dependent on a top-down structure where if the person doesn't comply, they can't operate.
And the top doesn't care about anyone at the bottom anyway.
No, obviously the top people on the top don't care about people like me. I'm probably just an enemy of the state as it is. So, no, I really want to go somewhere where I can live. The perverses of doing something so reversible to people's food. Oh yeah. You mean the genetic modification? Yeah, because once it's genetically modified, you can't unmodify it. It's pretty much gone. And when God made the earth and made it good, I believe that you change that. Like, say you take and you put a gene in corn that kills bugs, like they're doing with the BT corn. They have a BT corn that kills 32 types of bugs when they eat it. Well, that's changing the nature of corn. And then they have another kind of corn they can spray Roundup on, which, again, you're changing the nature of the corn from what it was. Yeah, and it could kill us. Now, they say it's harmless. They say it doesn't hurt you. But how do we know that that's not affecting people in a bad way? It could very well be causing a lot of problems we see today.
Wasn't Agent Orange supposedly caused by Roundup?
No, Agent Orange is 2,4-D. It was part of Agent Orange. It kills, it causes mutations in the DNA.
Oh, maybe that used to be in Roundup? Maybe that's what.
No, Roundup is not Agent Orange. Agent Orange is 2,4-D, and 2,4-D is.
That used to be an ingredient in Roundup, though, maybe?
Roundup's not good for you, but it's different because Agent Orange, the 2,4-D, it kills leafy plants, not grass. Where Roundup kills grass, but it's not effective on trees and stuff. They use Roundup. Roundup's still being used. They just use different names. They call it different names. They're using it in Missouri. Like, they no-till. A lot of the fields in the Midwest get no-tilled, and then they spray it with some kind of grass killer or weed killer. But the 2,4-D, it only kills leafy plants, not grass. So if you use 2,4-D on grass, it don't kill the grass, but it kills anything else. And Agent Orange was particularly, or a similar substance as 2,4-D, and some call it bullgrass. They use it on brush. It doesn't kill grass, but it kills all other plants. People use it in their lawns all the time to kill dandelions. It doesn't kill the grass, but it kills dandelions. And they have said that does affect DNA. It affects DNA, the sequencing of the RNA, which can cause problems in humans. No, I think the whole system is when people go away from how God intended it to be, and they try to do things the easy way, there's going to be problems. And the U.S. spread Agent Orange right over their men and extremely illustrated over the last 50 years. Yeah. The results of Agent Orange on genetic mutations and things that happen because of that it's provable. and they're still using those similar things. In California, when they spray the vegetables, they're using a similar substance to Roundup, which kills all leafy plants, grasses, and weeds, but doesn't kill the plant they're using. All the respiratory problems and pain in the vets. Yeah. No, it's sad because people, they look at it as being I think it's more of a money. They want money, easy way. They want to be done easily, quick, and without effort, which is going against the principles of God. When God said the word to till the ground, and the sweat of our brow to eat our bread, to dust we return, for dust we are. And so I think this whole push to make farming without tilling or without weeding or so that way is in direct opposition to God's declared order, which was that we should work with the sweat of our brow to eat our bread, and that we should till the ground. But a lot of people say, well, it makes life easier. Well, it may, but it also brings consequences, I think. Yeah, you notice YouTube doesn't push my live out very far. I've noticed YouTube's been hitting me pretty hard on the algorithm. They're not pushing my stuff. If I post something, sometimes it barely goes anywhere. Yeah, it's sad. They're trying to suppress people who disagree with the system. If you disagree with anything they say, then they suppress your content. It's not just me. There's other people having the same problem. Because you'll see people with thousands of people watching their lives, but then YouTube they don't put the lives out. Rumble got better by another video sharing site. I tried Rumble, but for some reason I had the same problem. It didn't. My videos didn't seem to go anywhere. Maybe if I had tried a little harder, maybe it might have worked better. But
also a problem with it using a lot of internet.
Yeah, Rumble was hard it was hard to operate with our internet. Now, I found I went on TikTok, and I've been doing somewhat better on TikTok until I started talking to people like me, and then my views went down drastically. In 3 weeks, I'd gone from nothing to being able to live stream, and I had some of my ones were getting over 100,000 views on TikTok. So, but then I started talking about, subjects people don't like, and next thing you know, my views drop. So they do suppress the views on TikTok as well, but not as much as YouTube. Actually, TikTok is one of the platforms where you still can talk about almost anything, and as long as nobody reports you personally, you can still keep talking about it. But they do keep you in like a box. They box you into certain categories, which we found interesting because once they find your category, all you see is that. They don't put it out. I mean, I kind of decided why the U.S. government wants to shut down TikTok, because people are talking on there about things that the government doesn't like, and they can't stop it. Where YouTube or Facebook, even Twitter, they'll pretty much cut anything off that doesn't agree with their agenda. And it's sad because the average person, there's so much going on right now. The average person they're confused. They don't realize what's going on. They don't see it. There are some people out there. I'm not saying they're not, but they're few, especially in this area. The key is we want our kids to be free. That's what's important. Hey, Pete. Yeah, I've been on for a while. I don't know if you heard what I said. We're planning on moving, so that's probably why I haven't been posting a lot. And then I got shadow banned. But
it was me. I said, "Hey, the kids are asleep. Do a live stream while it's quiet."
Oh, they'll wake up soon enough.
Yeah, David just did.
Oh, David's awake.
It's quiet as well.
Sleepy.
Ask Dad to have a piece of his burger.
Yeah, we plan on moving, Pete. See, so much happens that people don't bother or can't bother to properly orient themselves. The Bible is a comparatively easy orientation. Yeah, the problem is when you get into church groups, they're all fighting. I found it seems like most people, they might read the Bible, but a lot of them don't believe it. No, we're looking at South America. I'm going to be going down, flying down in a week from now, going down South America, and I'll post something from there. But it's going to be far away. Hey, put in the shoe, please. Oh. Yeah, it's for some reason I don't know why. You know, you can't write in the chat when you're on YouTube. You know that? Mm-mm. No. Yeah, you can't write. You can't write in the comments. Yeah, I want to try to grow coffee. That's my plan. I'm drinking coffee right now. I usually drink coffee at night too. I drink it in the morning and at night and in the day. Yeah, it's just kind of a rest day. What? Oh, my wife's showing the bread she made.
It's a new quick bread that's not a beer bread. First time trying it.
I didn't know it wasn't beer bread. I didn't taste it yet.
Oh, I know. Not eat a piece.
I will eventually. I'm just not ready for it right now. Yeah, so I want to go somewhere where taxes are low, where I can build what I want to build. No, I don't know if I told you, Pete. They had put a stop work notice on my house, the county. I'd try that, Brett, if you could shove that through the screen in Mexico. Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad you can't try it. It says it's a new bread. I guess I never made before.
Coffee. I said I'm gonna make coffee, okay? I'll make it a second.
Sorry for being so tired. I feel really tired for some reason. Don't know why. Haven't been working all day. Still tired. No, if you want to call sometime, you can call me. I got the number on the about section. Someone wants to call, talk. I got number on there. Yeah, I should probably get off here and go check. I was probably trying to go on TikTok with another guy. We go live together. I like it's easier for me when I'm talking with somebody. Yeah, no, it is. It is, Pete. If I did the way they want, I could never afford it, you know. The house now is about on $6,000 expense, and then if I had done it their way, it'd be $30,000 or more, probably, maybe more than that. Could never afford it, you know. Yeah, I'll probably jump over to TikTok and go with. Hopefully, I can get on with Spade. He's one of the guys we've been talking together. So, I'm on there, unfortunately. So not on TikTok. Yeah, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people say TikTok's bad, but I found it interesting because I was able to talk. Well, we get a lot more people coming on the streams on TikTok than here. The YouTube does not share my lives out, so my live doesn't go onto the algorithm. Normally on TikTok, there'll be hundreds of people passing through. Some will stay, some won't. But yeah, I should be here this weekend. I'm going to go down next week, fly out. But usually on TikTok, there'll be hundreds and hundreds of people coming through. You know, they may not stay, but they come through at least. Where on YouTube, usually the streams go nowhere on YouTube. I get a few people, that's it. Maybe a half a dozen, very rarely over a dozen people on the whole live, which is sad. But they're not sharing it on the algorithm, so I really don't know how to force them to do it, to share it out. So they say if people comment and like, it causes it to go out faster or more. But if you never get on the algorithm to start with, it's hard to get something going. And if I look at my analytics, yeah, TikTok is less censored. You can actually talk about things you're not supposed to talk about on YouTube and get away with it unless somebody reports you directly from your stream, which it does happen sometimes. There'll be people that come in and will report the stream, but it usually only lasts 10 minutes. I saw a couple streams shut down for things we were saying, but normally it will just say comments were filtered, and then it will leave it. Well, you guys take care. I'm gonna jump off here and jump over there, and you guys have a nice night. Good night.